Hello and bienvenue. My name is Derek Chung, and I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of Defense Construction Canada. Joining me here today are Maureen Miller, Chair of DCC's Board of Directors, and Juliette Woodfield, Vice President, Finance and Human Resources and Chief Financial Officer. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting here in Ottawa on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. As settlers, we are grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. With DCC sites operating in 5 regions and close to 40 locations across Canada and in the North, we respect and acknowledge the Indigenous peoples who have been the stewards of this land, both past and present. And we recognize the contributions that the Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous peoples have made both in shaping and strengthening this community in particular, but also all communities, provinces, and our country as a whole. I would now like to invite Maureen Miller, Chair of the DCC Board of Directors, to give her annual update on DCC's performance and progress on its strategic commitments.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maureen Miller, and as Chair of the Board of Directors for Defense Construction Canada, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our annual public meeting for 2020. While we are hosting this annual meeting virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I can assure you that everything else remains constant. DCC's commitment to its mission, our management's focus on achieving our objectives, and the board's support for our employees, our executive team, and our stakeholders. As I wrote in my message for this year's annual report, DCC has served Canada's defense and security sector, both domestically and internationally, for almost 7 decades. Throughout this time, as our client partners have adapted to changing global conditions, we have as well. I believe this is the result from 2 foundational advantages: the resilience of our people and the strategic approach of our leadership. This foundation has enabled DCC to forge ahead even as we are faced with the most challenging health and economic conditions. We are continuing to support our key client partners, the Department of National Defence, Shared Services Canada, and the Communications Security Establishment. And we are continuing to deliver and manage the critical infrastructure and environmental projects that fulfill their mandates to Canadians. This is no small achievement, and it speaks volumes to how effectively DCC is positioned to support the Government of Canada's goals for security and defense procurement, for complex construction and environmental sustainability projects, and for economic growth. Our resilience comes from DCC's unique position as self-sustaining, coupled with the operational excellence and unparalleled expertise that our employees have built over time. This enables us to react rapidly for our client partners whenever needed, and especially when it's needed most. We are also looking forward and anticipating DCC's future needs by building on our strategic objectives related to people, service delivery, business management, and leadership. These objectives, coupled with decades of innovation and a deliberate, consistent approach to strategy, guides the board and management in reviewing DCC's risks and opportunities each year. Together, these efforts ensure that we are maintaining and improving our service delivery capability to support 2 key initiatives: Canada's strong, secure, engaged defense policy and the Defense, Energy, and Environment Strategy. They also ensure that we remain focused on creating opportunities for Canadian commerce, particularly in the construction sector. We work closely with industry to advance areas such as project management, technology, e-procurement, and environmental sustainability. It is the ingenuity and entrepreneurship of our employees that makes this possible. The board's in-person site visits over the years have shown us the first-hand commitment and energy with which employees are collaborating with their colleagues. They are solving challenges, boosting effectiveness and cost efficiencies in contracting, and creating new processes and expanded services. Company-wide programs such as Innoviculture nurture this along with DCC's leadership. That's why in September, I was very pleased to welcome Derek Chung as DCC's President and CEO. He came to us with a strong people-first approach, backed up by extensive experience in the defense and energy and transportation infrastructure sectors. These have already proven to be assets to DCC, and I look forward to his continued leadership. I would also like to thank Melinda Nicolas, Vice President, Operations Procurement, for her contributions as Acting President and CEO during the interim period last year. DCC always has and always will deliver value to the Government of Canada and all Canadians. As we do so under the current unprecedented circumstances, I am so grateful for the extraordinary efforts of our stakeholders. To our client partners, contractors and consultants, industry colleagues, and most of all our employees, thank you for your support for DCC. I wish you and your families good health in the weeks and months ahead.
As I begin my remarks for DCC's 2020 annual public meeting and my first as President and CEO, I would like to thank you for attending today, wherever and whenever you have tuned in to this broadcast. As I mentioned in my opening, my name is Derek Chung, and I can tell you that I would much prefer to be meeting with all of you in person. Getting to know our stakeholders was one of my highest priorities when I joined this exceptional organization and team of people in 2019. Still, as I reflect on my first months at DCC, I am truly honored to be with you, even virtually. And I'm grateful that the DCC team was able to quickly recalibrate our annual public meeting to a virtual one today. Before I came to DCC, I knew the organization had a very strong reputation for delivering results and innovation, and for making an essential contribution to Canada's defense and security infrastructure. Being inside DCC, however, has given me a better perspective. I've seen how that reputation has been earned through the agility, business acumen, and above all, collaborative spirit with which DCC's people approach their mission. I've often described this as a let's get it done attitude, and it enables DCC to respond quickly to change. In the past, this has manifested as changes in project volume or in the mandates of our client partners. The past year, however, has brought new challenges. With the IT disruption incident and COVID-19 pandemic, our people rose to both occasions with incredible success, adjusting to working remotely or under very different operating conditions to ensure the steadfast support for the Government of Canada's key priorities, all while ensuring the continued progress of the client partners' projects. I am very proud of and grateful for everything we have accomplished under these circumstances. It's especially important to me to recognize the efforts of our employees and those who we work with, our contractors, consultants, and client partners. They have focused on the health and safety of everyone involved, kept the lines of communication open, and continued to ensure value for money for Canadians. At the same time, our employees continue to achieve a number of client partner firsts. I'd like to describe just a few. For example, DCC is pioneering integrated project delivery in facilities for the Royal Canadian Dragoons at CFB Petawawa. IPD, as it's also known, has the potential to create a paradigm shift for Canadian defense construction. It replaces traditional design and construction contracts with a single contract. Most important, this single contract brings together all parties: DCC, the Department of National Defense, the general contractor, the architect, and engineers, to manage the project risks in a collaborative manner. It's effective at reducing costs and finding a solution that works for everyone. Other groundbreaking projects involve our contributions to D&D's environmental priorities. This includes our Energy Performance Contracts program, which is helping meet important greenhouse gas emission targets. We also supported the 2019 Bagotville International Air Show to become carbon neutral, which earned the Platinum Pinnacle Award from the International Council of Air Shows. And we are helping D&D launch its first net zero ready building, the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Training Facility at CFB Gagetown, which runs almost completely off the grid. In many of these projects, we leverage state-of-the-art technology building information modeling software, for example, when combined with real-time online collaboration between clients and contractors, can improve client satisfaction, accelerate project delivery, all while reducing waste and increasing efficiency. And during the COVID-19 pandemic in spring 2020, a time when many of our industry partners were working remotely and were only able to respond electronically, we implemented the final phase of our e-procurement initiative. This expansion of e-bidding to all opportunities offers proponents greater convenience while enhancing fairness and transparency. Most important, we continue to support our employees through such programs as diversity and inclusion and workplace wellness and mental health. Connecting with each other and with our stakeholders has never been so important. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce Juliette Woodfield, DCC's Vice President Finance and Human Resources and Chief Financial Officer, who will provide highlights of the corporation's financial results for the 2019-20 fiscal year.
DCC is a Crown corporation that meets the infrastructure and environmental needs of the Department of National Defence, the Canadian Armed Forces, the Communications Security Establishment, and Shared Services Canada by providing quality services. We have offices from coast to coast to coast, as well as overseas required for the Defence of Canada. Over the last year, DCC continued to support our client partners and Canada's economy effectively. We awarded almost 1,200 contracts to contractors, consultants, and suppliers, with a total value of $636 million. We also made just over $1 billion in contract payments that helped to create approximately 4,000 jobs for Canadians. Le modèle opérationnel de CDC combine les meilleures caractéristiques des entités du secteur privé et public. Our fee-for-service business model, with no appropriations from the Government of Canada, correlates directly to our client partners' spending on infrastructure and environmental projects. Les produits de CDC augmenteront ou diminueront selon le nombre et la valeur monétaire des projets de clients partenaires. C'est-à-dire que le volume de projets que nous gérons dans le cadre de ce programme peut beaucoup varier d'un exercice à l'autre, selon les priorités de MDN et du Gouvernement du Canada. Typically, DCC service costs approximately 10% of the infrastructure and environmental programs that are delivered in a year. The corporation's objective is to operate on a slightly better than break-even basis, so we carefully calibrate our billing rates, including any year-to-year changes, to ensure we continue to meet our operational and capital requirements. Our services revenue was $115 million last year, an increase of $4.3 million, or approximately 4% from the previous fiscal year. The increase was mainly due to a 3.5% billing rate increase, partially offset by a change in demand for services from our client partner. Les produits de tous les secteurs de services de CDC ont augmenté d'un exercice à l'autre. Comme d'habitude, les services de gestion des marchés ont contribué à la plus grande part du total des produits, soit 43%. L'augmentation de produits nous a permis de continuer à assumer l'ensemble de nos dépenses, dont certaines ont augmenté. Total salary costs, for instance, increased by $3.2 million, or approximately 4%, due to an increase in salaries and number of employees to meet client partner demand. Similarly, operating and administrative expenses rose by $1.9 million, or roughly 20%. That rise was due to such factors as staff relocations, furniture purchases, and the migration of our IT services to the cloud. Due to a small total comprehensive loss for the year of some $2.5 million, our overall cash and investment balances at year-end were slightly lower than our targeted reserve level of $26 to $29 million. We will increase our billing rate next year so that we can achieve our targeted cash balance of $26 to $33 million while covering operational and capital requirements. Les prévisions financières futures de CDC restent vigoureuses grâce à la demande constante prévue de services de la part de nos clients partenaires. That financial foundation puts us in a strong position to continue to serve the Government of Canada and our client partners in a timely, effective, and efficient manner.